So today I wanted to talk about my stepfather and pretty much what happened to him a couple years ago. So he had passed away back in 2020. He was in a motorcycle accident, pretty much coming from his parents' house. He was on his way to Tombstone early in the morning on a Sunday, and an intoxicated driver had hit him, and he unfortunately passed away. And this was all on tribal land, which was pretty interesting because at the time, like, he had passed away on a Sunday, and him being a Leo in the zodiac sign, it was pretty interesting to me how that was all correlated because he had passed away by the Casino del Sol, and that being the sun in the name. So, those were some of the signs that encompassed his passing. Now, leading up to his death, his birthday was August 10th, and he passed away August 30th, 2020. So prior to that, I had gone on a road trip for a couple of weeks. I had gone from like Arizona to Cali. I also went up to Nevada, Oregon, and Washington. So I came back down. This was the middle of August. And when I started the trip, it was late July. And during that time period, my windshield had cracked a little bit. Nothing too strenuous or anything like that where I wasn't able to drive, but there was a little crack in it. And when I got back, the windshield had actually cracked a lot more. So I definitely needed to replace that. And he was the last person to actually fix my windshield because he did work for Safelight. And when that happened, after I'd gotten back, I just thought that was odd. I was like, okay, like, obviously stuff happens, accidents happen, things like that, as far as, our windshield goes. And so that definitely caught me off guard. And a couple other signs in regards to his passing, I think to kind of prepare me emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, was I had purchased a love neon sign from Amazon. And if you know anything about Leos, they are ruled by the heart, all about love. They're very passionate and caring people. So I purchased that, and that came in the mail. It was delivered in a package. I want to say it was a day or two before I found out that he had gotten into that accident. And not only that, but I also purchased an amulet that represent unconditional love. I gotten that prior, as well as, let's see. So those were the big major ones, but I think one that actually really stood out to me was my heartbeat tattoo that I have. It's a trebuchet connected to a heartbeat, which is representative of music. And I actually had gotten a little pimple by the heartbeat. And whenever something happens to me or outside of my control, usually my body responds to it. And it's really interesting because this wasn't the first time that had happened. Later on, I'd gotten warning signs from different things, but that one definitely caught me off guard as well because I'm like, to me, I was just like, oh, whatever. But after he had passed, I was like, wow, that definitely meant something. And, they had the funeral, everything like that, to just honor him and to be around family and to really take in his legacy. It was amazing because he loved motorcycles. That was his thing. And to be able to be around all of his friends, his family, all of us were together. And to see all the motorcycle people around each other, just really honoring him, was super special. Fast forward a couple months later, we go to the White Mountains, and it's a beautiful weekend. It was to celebrate my birthday, and it was nice weather back in November 2020. So super fun. I was around family, got to explore a lot and hike and everything. So I remember one day we were hiking, and we're just walking around, enjoying the scenery, enjoying the water, looking around. It was pretty cold, so we all had our jackets on. And then something just told me to take a picture of the sky because I love taking pictures. If you know me, I'm very one to like actually photographed my surroundings. And so when that happened, when I took a picture, I didn't realize it until later. I had posted it on Instagram on my photography page. But basically, I had wrote a quote talking about duality and light and darkness and death as well. And I didn't realize it until after I wrote that caption and posted it. I could see in the clouds, it looks exactly like a picture of my stepdad smiling, as well as a motorcycle. And it's pretty interesting, like, to actually see that because it definitely surprised me. I didn't expect to see that at all. And I was like, how come I didn't notice it before? You know? But he looks really happy. And I think that was definitely a sign to show me that he's always around. And it happened again the following year. We had a memorial service for him around, his passing and everything like that. And we were releasing balloons up in the air. And so me and my family and his family were gathered around together. We were at the memorial service at his gravesite, and we were releasing balloons up in the air. And we were recording, taking pictures of it. Later on, I noticed, I'm like, wait a second, that looks like him in the clouds. He had like sunglasses on. He was making a face. But it definitely looked like that was him because we could even see like an A cloud in there, and his last name's Arbisu. So I was like, wow, like he's really showing us that he's okay and that he's around. So it's definitely those signs, those synchronicities that you can't ignore, that you can't miss, that kind of prepare you to open up your heart and to allow yourself to grieve, but also to show that when we pass over, that isn't the end of us. Our souls just take on a new form, our energy transforms, and we're so loved, we're so taken care of, everything's okay over there. And I thought I'd share that because it kind of intertwines with both of my miscarriages that I had within the past couple of years. I first had my miscarriage. It was a miscarriage back in April of 2020. I was about 10 weeks pregnant when the baby stopped growing, but I was still pregnant technically. My body didn't realize that the baby had passed away. And so I should have been around 12 to 13 weeks at that point. And then 2 years later, fast forward to October 21st, 2022, I conceived the same day of my first baby's original due date. So I knew that the soul came back. The due date for that baby was going to be July 24th, 2022 or 23. And it was going to be a Leo baby, Leo sunshine baby. So a couple months pass, everything's going all right. A lot of pregnancy symptoms and a lot of signs. I would see hearts everywhere. So that gave me comfort because I'm like, I think this baby's going to be okay. Like, I think everything's going to be good. So I felt pretty confident, but I also felt like something was wrong. A deep intuitive mother feeling that you just know that things aren't going to actually go the way that you anticipate. And it was hard for me to feel connected and attached to the baby as much as I wanted to really have a great pregnancy. I was super paranoid because of the first miscarriage and just doubting everything. I had zero confidence in the ability to actually have a full-term healthy pregnancy. And that fear came true on the day of the winter solstice. It was December 20th, 2022. All those twos, by the way, very symbolic. I had the miscarriage. I had to go to the hospital because I was bleeding out very profusely. And it was very unfortunate because, I got up to about 9 weeks pregnant at that point. So I knew something, was wrong with my body. Like maybe I wasn't producing enough progesterone. There's so many reasons that could have happened, but things happen for a reason. And I forgot to mention, because I was actually going to preface the story, was that prior leading up to this, when I first moved into the home that I was at for almost a year, basically when I first moved in, I had a prophetic dream. I hadn't had all my stuff moved in or anything like that, so I was sleeping on a air mattress at the time. So I'd fallen asleep. It was probably like 2 or 3 in the morning at that point. In the dream, I was awake, laying down, but I couldn't move, I couldn't talk or anything. So a lot of people call that sleep paralysis. And I remember just sleeping, and being woken up to hearing a baby cry. It sounded like it was coming from the kitchen area. And I could also hear people talking, like kind of mumbling, but it sounded like it was hard to pretty much make out what they were saying, but it sounded like there was multiple people in there, and it was dark. The door was open to my bedroom, so I could hear everything that was going on. And I tried to scream, I tried to move, and I couldn't. I was frozen, and it was a very scary feeling because I didn't realize at the time, but it was almost like a prediction of what was to happen several months later, obviously at that point. But when I had finally gotten out of that state that I was in, I woke up in real life and the door was actually closed and everything was okay. But I didn't realize at that point it was pretty much preparing me and my soul to let me know that I was going to have another miscarriage. And it's sad to say because at that point, and then later on, over the course of several months, I actually ended up losing my car. The engine gave out. I lost 2 jobs that were out of my control. And then I eventually lost the home. So within a matter of months, all this stuff happened. But I think it definitely opens up your life to accept more things in life and to be blessed. I think things get blocked and stuff has to fall apart in order to really know that there's a future ahead of you and better things are to come. So I had to literally lose everything that meant so much to me, that I had worked so hard, that I built my life for. I had to lose it all because God was preparing me for something greater. And no matter what happens, our angels, our spirit guides, God's always with us. The people that have passed on, they're always with us too. And we just have to remember that life is going to cause chaos and disruption because it needs to create something beautiful in its path, to create balance. And what the first baby taught me was to love myself, to appreciate the beauty all around me, to keep a balance in my life and not overwork and overstress myself. And then the second baby taught me to love myself unconditionally, to use my voice to be powerful and fearless, to not hide myself anymore, to go out there in the world and be confident and not shy away from all that God has in store for me. So those are some of the lessons that I've learned, because if anything, people have a hard time understanding that and understanding why they go through certain things when there's no answers. But what I can tell you is that at the end of the day, as long as you keep trying and you don't give up, even in these moments that seem like they're never going to get better, that you have the power to control your future. And these moments are just chapters in your book, but they're not your end story. Just keep that in mind whenever you're going through tough times like that. Because I can say I literally lost it all. Everything that I loved. But that had to happen. Unfortunately, it had to happen to realign me, to regain my focus, and to put me on the path to help other people, to give them a voice, to show them that, look, as much as we may feel alone majority of the time, feel like nobody understands us, nobody gets us. You're tired of being broken, you're tired of being hurt, you're tired of sabotaging all the good things in your life, that there's always going to be the light shining through, giving you hope when there is nothing. But I hope everything works out. And I pray to God that our lives continue to thrive and that we just get stronger and we learn how to utilize that pain and channel it for something greater.